Good afternoon and welcome to everybody. It is our pleasure. Sorry for all the delays and confusion, but as you can imagine, an event of this size needs a lot of patience. So thank you for your patience and apologies for any confusion. So our topic is digital twins, AI, and the future of infrastructure planning. And it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome Dr. Debashish Pushti, Principal Secretary, Urban Development and Housing Department, Government of Rajasthan. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Our second panelist is Dr. Sridhar Muppidi, and he's the co-founder of Yes Genome and Purple Talk. Thank you for being here. It's our pleasure. I'm going to kick us off with a question for Dr. Pushti. Urban infrastructure is a favorite topic for everybody, no matter whether you're in the urban cities or tier 2 or tier 3. So whether it's transport, whether it's housing, water, energy, whatnot, right? In your estimation, how do digital twins and AI change the way governments are planning and managing this complexity?
Thank you, Madam Desai, for inviting to this very important topic and the discussion. And I'm also honored with the presence of my co-panelist, Mr. Sridhar. So we are in the midst of a celebration of events dedicated to the theme of AI, artificial intelligence, and coming from urban development space, I think it's very important to now understand the applications of artificial intelligence and how we can sort of use them for inclusive urban planning. So when you talk about inclusive urban planning, I think we're talking about Rajasthan, and Rajasthan is the largest state of India, is the 7th largest economy of the country, and we have very recently launched the 2047 action plan. We call it the Viksit Rajasthan action plan, wherein there is a very clear emphasis on urban infrastructure and how the planning, how the KPIs can be sort of achieved. And I would advise that all of you should read that vision document 2047. That would give a fair understanding about what exactly we want, because it's very easy to sort of say that we have 309 municipalities, urban localities, which cater to 25% of the state's population. And then when we sort of mobilize resources to develop infrastructure, be it ROBs, flyovers, be it even the planned schemes, be it housing for the poor or the economically weaker sections. So how can we sort of ensure that keyword, inclusive planning? It's not that we build only sort of luxury apartments. As the chairperson of the Rajasthan Housing Board, I have a very direct responsibility to address the needs of the poorer sections. So do I have a database which sort of talk about the needs and aspirations of the housing for all sectors? Do we sort of prioritize that database to ensure that how do I optimize my resources when I allocate certain resources for the EWS, for the LIG, for the HIG category? If I have those database, those layers available in my system, how can I ensure that future resources will be available to address the gaps which are already existing? So to cut the story short, I must say that we have to have first a repository of good quality data in our system, be it related to buildings, be it related to connectivity, be it related to social infrastructure, be it related to utility infrastructure like drinking water, electricity, school. So that's the fundamental. And that's in 2D, two-dimension. The second approach would be to make them interactable, make them interactive with a GIS-based land use plan, the Geographical Information System-based land use plan. So we have already the GIS lab, and I'm happy to share with the audience that already we have the master plans which are on GIS platform. Out of 309 urban local bodies, we have almost 43% which are GIS compliant. And we have a vision to make all the master plans, future master plans for all the remaining ULBs to be on GIS platform in next 2 years. So that's the database story, the 2D database story. But then your question was about the digital twin. Yes. So digital twin cannot be thought of without a 3D model, right? So we have this kind of database already in place up to 2D. For Jaipur, we have sort of developed a 3D model, digital twin model. And that took almost 3 years. It was not very easy. So if you would ask me in terms of quantum of resources, we spent more than 200 crore rupees for that project, 200 CR over the last 2 or 3 years with 150 IT resources who sort of collected the spatial data and also the ground truthing and then the field verification. So we used the 2D data for the 3D model that I'm talking about, the digital twin. We used the spatial database from the GIS lab for the Jaipur master plan. And then we used the Survey of India data for the ground truthing, for the ground control points. There are 275 ground control points. So we used those data, and then it was not enough. We had to deploy a kind of vehicle, we call it LiDAR, 360 degree. The radar mounted on the vehicle, which would go to every street, every lane possible within the city, collect the building data, the terrain data. And then that data was sort of, ingested into the system. And then we sort of built based on the building information system that we had, we built the 3D model, the twin replica of Jaipur city. So in the system, you can see SMS Stadium, you can see Sanganer, you can see, not the airport, because that's a critical infrastructure, that is masked. Those are critical sensitive data, so they are not visible, they are masked. So I must ensure that the integrity and security of the data is very important, because they could be misused. So we then designed, and that system took 3 years. But more important is what is next? So the model now exists, the twin model, the replica of Jaipur exists. What is next? So as a planner, as an urban planner, it's my responsibility to see that we use that asset. It's a very precious asset for our inclusive planning. So right now, we are using that for designing the next generation of flyovers, the next generation of metro corridors. Suppose there is an alignment issue. So you have used metro, Jaipur metro for phase 1. Now phase 2 is coming up, which is a 43-kilometer, going to be a 43-kilometer ride from Praladpur to Todi Mold. So the Kumbha Marg, and then the Khasa Koti, and then Khatipura, and then whatnot. It's a huge corridor coming up worth almost 1,300 crore rupees. It's a big ticket item. Now, if we are thinking of a 1,300 crore project, why can't I use the 3D twin model to ensure that the alignment is future-proof? When the buildings are to be which are obstructive, need to be demolished, can I ensure a minimalistic approach? These are the buildings which have to go. So using the building information system, which is inbuilt within the twin model, and using the corridor, we ensure that the alignment is future-proof. That is first application of 3D model. Everybody is used to the temperature of Jaipur during summer, 46, 47, and now the winter, of course. So as a planner, is it not our duty to see that the urban dwellers get adequate protection from the sunlight when they commute during the daylight from their office to home or for hospital? So where can I design the shelters, the shadow shelters? So if I know that from the building information system using the twin model that these are the congestion points, then I have a traffic projection, which is the data is available from the police system, and then I can design my urban shelters, the roofs accordingly, so that maximum people get benefit when they station at the traffic junctions. Those are the little applications. But fundamentally more important is, suppose a rainfall of 200 millimeter takes place, and our cities are not planned to receive precipitation more than 200, 250 millimeter per day. And with the changing climate, you see unexpected precipitation within very short span of time. Quick flooding of roads, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Mumbai, Jaipur, Delhi, any city you take, during the monsoon, urban flooding is very common. So can we not realign our roads, the drainage networks, using the 3D model when we have the dynamic data set available, which is a replica of your drainage system? So use that system to design your package of works for drainage for the next cycle. How? So you know that there is a digital terrain model inbuilt in that 3D model, and there is a digital surface elevation. So surface elevation data is there, and the terrain elevation above mean sea level data is there. Now if we simulate, if a 200 millimeter rainfall takes place, which are the areas which are going to be inundated or flooded quickly? Target those areas, those slums, those habitat areas which are not regularized, because no budget goes for them because they are illegal. But still they have a right to live because they are living. So allocate your resources to design those urban drainage system which are in the low-lying areas using the DSM, using the digital elevation model. So put your resources not in the upland areas, but in the downstream areas, in the inundated areas, in the vulnerable areas. So it's disaster planning, urban disaster planning. It enhances my climate resilience system, the digital twin system. Law and order. Are our girls safe during the night when they commute between a GCC to their home? So are my CCTV cameras functional? We have a Abhay Command Center in Jaipur. So ICCs are working, integrated command and control system. So the police station, they know that the cameras are there and the traffic police and then the patrolling system, stuff like that. But then using the digital, the twin system, I can project that, okay, from in the Sanganer area, or if a flight comes, lands from Dubai in, say, mid of the night, then obviously my police control system would know that, oh yes, the flight is coming, 200 passengers would come out. It could be a flight which might have been diverted. But then they should know that, okay, we should deploy a police patrolling vehicle around that area because commuters, passengers would come out of the airport, they would hire an Uber or taxi, go to far-flung places. So activate your system. So the routes in the digital twin would automatically predict that, because the data from the air traffic system will feed into the digital twin database. So the flights are landing, it's in the public domain. So automatically a signal will go to the Abhay Command Center that a flight is likely to come in the middle of the night. Please deploy your patrolling units in those areas. So crime control, another application. Suppose I'm a builder, I'm a colonizer, I want to build a high-rise building of say 10 story, 20 story, whatever. I want to invest a huge amount of money for that, right? 200 crore, 300 crore, I don't know. But then can I get a no objection certificate from the local municipality to do that? So as a municipality, I should know that by allowing that building, whether it is obstructing the surveillance and security of that area. Because certain cameras which are already installed, the view may get blocked by that building. So I have to pay for the additional cameras which are going to be put up by the police because of this building. The natural wind flow which hitherto is occurring in that area, by upcoming of that building, the wind flow may get blocked and it may get different tunnel which may impact few other localities. Suppose an industry is there. So the smoke is coming out of the industry. A hospital is there. So they may get impacted because of the diversion of the smoke. So the 3D model using the meteorological data would predict that if a certain high rise is allowed, the wind flow will get diverted towards that. It will not impact the hospital. It will not impact the habitation. Suppose a dust storm is taking place. So the hospital cannot be allowed to be succumbed to a dust storm because some asthmatic patients may be there. So these are planning. These are very important elements of planning which we can use using the 3D
Can
model.
we get a round of applause for this incredible vision that your department is looking to undertake? I mean, it's fantastic. Practical governance, right, is obviously a whole different topic, and I know you touched on it briefly. And you're anticipating all kinds of challenges that will come while you're implementing. But Sridhar, I would love to get a contrarian view, if you want to play devil's advocate, and talk about data being the center point, right? Especially when you talk about grassroots level data collection. In the Western world, we say garbage in, garbage out, right? So how reliable do you think the data collection is, and what impact it would have on the practical execution side, no matter how proactive we are?
First of all, I'm just Sridhar, not doctor. Engineer. My background is into gaming and telecom. Right now I'm working on a conversational voice AI platform called Elo. So that's my background. Unfortunately, I'm pro technology. So the earlier conversation was very, very exciting for me when, the pro business versus, social conversation. So that was fun. As Sir was saying, a couple of things, when we look at AI, we look at AI from very personal, we as individuals perspective, and when we look at AI, from government, institutional perspective. Individually, AI is something which is going to make us a lot more efficient, right? If I'm right now at a certain level, can it make me 3x, 5x more productive, right? Whatever I am doing. That's how we are all measuring AI, and that's the reason we all use AI, right? When we look at from institutional, like a government point of view, I think this government should ideally be only looking at it from, it's like any other technology, what can it do for me, right? And there are some amazing use cases, like for example, like Sir was mentioning, like they have thousands of CCTV cameras everywhere, right? And AI can allow the government to enforce 100% traffic compliance, right? 100% in terms of the elements which weren't possible before. Because imagine 100% compliance means eventually there won't be any rule breakers, right? Because right now people do break rules because they know they can get away. They know, sometimes how does somebody become an offender is, when they know they can get away, right? If there's no chance of getting away ever, that's where, we as a society are going to completely transform ourselves. So AI presents us that opportunity where we can enforce 100% compliance on different things, right? And so from a government point of view, it should be just exciting, right? It's like we can do these things which we couldn't do before. So that's at a high level. What my point of view on technology adoption is, in terms of, again, data usage. Unfortunately, I can't give you the opposite view. My point of view is, really, there are a couple of sacrifices need to be made right now if we have
like
to
what,
have,
for example?
as the earlier conversation, if we need to use the data to build better products, we need to have that advantage, because opinion makers are going to be people who own those models, right? And right now, all of those are either owned by China or US. And one owns the open source side, the other owns the large language models, and we are here arguing about ethical aspects of it and others, while the world is moving far ahead. At this point, this is not the time to talk about regulation. This is the time to just focus on building and innovating, and competing. And we'll deal with regulation when we get there. So that's my point of view.
And practically, sir, if you could please give him the mic. Thank you. Practically, sir, how fast do you imagine this being executed? What is your timeline, for this to really have some kind of a meaningful shape?
No, that's a very good question, because the country is waiting to see how robust is the urban planning. Because we simply construct a railway overbridge and flyover. We should not do it just for the sake of doing that. Is there a social, mind you, the word social, cost-benefit analysis being done for that? So we usually do CBA, cost-benefit analysis. What is the social return out of that project? So the digital twin will address to that additional functionality of social when I talk about inclusive planning. For example, we want to build or create an additional ring road to decongest Jaipur, right? Suppose that is the plan. We have already the ring road. You must have seen when you take a round of the city. But do we have a need for an additional ring road which would connect to Delhi, Mumbai corridor or any other alignment? And if I have to acquire a land parcel to do that, and those persons, those farmers who are going to be displaced because of the land acquisition, even if they are compensated, is it worth it having an additional ring road? So that digital twin will tell me how. For example, we know that X number of traffic is going now in the existing ring road. We have the national plan, which is sort of available in the Ministry of Road Transport website. We know the corridor, we know the DMIC, we know all the alignments. We know the traffic projections. We know that how much the transport sector is going to contribute to the GDP. And there are studies, state-wise, how much Rajasthan is going to be benefited out of that. I refer to a planning document, right? Viksit Rajasthan 2047. So we have the key performance indicators for urban sector, connectivity, transport sector. So please go through that document, which has very clear milestone of 2030, 2037, and then 2047. So right now we are a $200 billion US economy, Rajasthan. We have a vision to be $350 billion economy by the year 2028-29. And to do so, what is the contribution of transport sector? How much vehicles would be sort of plying by that time? So to do that, do I need a ring road? Yes. If so, then if my compensation presently is X amount, if I put a delta to make those displaced families happier, jolly well, please do that. Because ultimately, your economy is going to be, that potential is going to be achieved by 28, 29. So if you are putting little extra money to make the displaced people happier, as a planner, we should do that. But then my digital twin model with different scenario building, we can convince to my political boss that, Honorable Minister, this is what it is going to be. Scenario 1, X number of vehicles. Scenario 2, X plus delta. Scenario 3. So like that. So this is one way to look at, and it is quite doable. Your ask was that how quickly, how faster we can do that. So we have a Government of India project which is called SASKI. If you Google SASKI, you can just find out. It's a scheme for capital expenditure, and the Government of India gives a 50-year interest-free loan to states who would undertake such capital expenditure, and Urban Development Department of Rajasthan has subscribed to that scheme. And one component of that scheme, SASKI, is that if you build up a digital twin model and apply that, you would get certain amount. And we have participated in that. And if we get that support from Government of India, we'll be immediately doing 3 things. First, intelligent traffic management system. As I mentioned, all our traffic signals, they are digitized. 2D data is available. We'll integrate the digital twin data, and then our traffic management will be considerably improved. How? For example, a procession is to be allowed. It could be a strike. We are a democracy. We can't refuse not to assemble. It could be a marriage procession, social procession, and the police has to give a permission which route they would undertake, right? A religious function maybe. Now, what is the prediction of vehicles? Using the digital twin model, it will automatically, using AI, it will give 2-3 scenarios. You can give a route chart to the organizer through point X, Y, Z. It will give a package, quick decision making. So intelligent traffic management system. So less disruption to common man. Traffic would flow, procession would take place, less disruption to the economy and services. So that is the first application. Second, I talked about the metro. So phase 2 metro is coming up. Very soon you'll hear the good news that Honorable Chief Minister would announce when the foundation stone laying ceremony is going to take place, because it's a 1,300 crore project. Now, if we are aligning a metro corridor, can I afford to ignore the land parcel which are adjacent to the metro area, and can I ignore their development? No, it's not a good idea. There could be a commercial hub. There could be some utilitarian value of an open land. There could be some multi-level parking. Where I'm going to construct those parking slots, the commercial complexes, the residential buildings. So we have very recently launched a transit-oriented development policy on 9th of December. Please go through that, which talks about additional benefit to the developers, to the commercial builders who would take advantage of those corridors. I mean, they have to pay a price also to the local municipality in terms of additional betterment levy or tax, because they're getting a privileged land parcel along the corridor. So using the digital twin model, we can design those pockets, the land parcels. Suppose in the Gandhinagar railway station, we build a multi-level parking. Is it feasible? So my traffic projection using the model will tell me, yes, it could be feasible. Why not in Kumbh Marg, where there is going to be, say a junction, when a lot of institutional areas are there, a lot of industrial workforce, they also need good commutation, and they can park their cars and scooters, bicycles. So which one is more feasible? The model will tell. So that's my second project which can be doable quickly, very quickly. The third thing already I have spelt. For example, we have the Bisalpur pipeline, which is being laid down in length and breadth of Jaipur, city of Jaipur. Some of you must have got the Bisalpur water, which is a fresh water. Otherwise, it's a dark zone. We can't draw water from ground. It's already critically sort of a dark zone. Now, if I am building a swimming pool, I'm drawing more water. Don't you think I should pay additional tax to the government, because water is a scarce commodity and people don't get even 2 buckets of water to drink daily? There is no, I mean, that's difficult sometimes in summer, in the upland areas. But then, if a swimming pool is already existing, is not paying tax, the digital twin model using the database will clearly red flag those buildings, those hotels. Yes, there are the 6 hotels which haven't paid their UD tax. So ask them to pay. Suppose I'm a hotelier, I say, no, my swimming pool is empty, it's not functional. It's just a swimming pool existing on paper. So using the GIS-based model, the satellite imagery and the ground truth, it's a dynamic model. Every year we have to update the data. So with ground truthing, we can say that no, water is clearly visible through the satellite imagery. I can't fool the satellite. There's a black spot on the imagery, which is sort of clearly indicating that water is full in the swimming pool. So evidence-based decision making, very clear. 3 things we're going to do very soon.
It's phenomenal. So the integration, yeah, absolutely. So the integration, and the institutional acceptance, right? So you gave an example of the hotels. Sridhar, if I can point the last question to you. Yeah, thank you, sir. What role would, let's say a private company or companies that are in the space would be able to play in assisting the government's vision, right? And making sure that the practical execution that doesn't impact whether it's environment or people around. How do you imagine that being supported by, companies that are in the space already and doing a lot of research and coming out with some really good data sets, right? How can we assist the government?
I mean, from our motivation as, our motivation is primarily to wealth creation, right? It's for ourselves and people who work for us. We pay taxes. But beyond that, I mean, obviously we would want to work within the legal framework of the country we are operating in. But as a business, we wouldn't want to be in the business of trying to figure out, I mean, if it makes us money, why not? But that said, I think it's the other way around. What we need to succeed, right? It's like, as Sir said, there's so many things the government is doing. And at this stage, like as an AI startup, right? And when you are competing globally, and when you require funds to compete globally, and there's a lot of funds needed, especially the capex needed, the data needed, which most of us cannot afford, right? And that's where actually government can play a big role, where they have access to the data. How can we get access to it so that they have access to capex investments, which they are already doing? How can we get access to some of that compute, right? So from our end, in return, we could provide them solutions, right? Solutions could be something as simple as the interventions Sir was talking about. Can we simulate, traffic, right? If there is a new ring road getting formed, can we simulate that for you and tell you, hey, if you put that in, these models can predict that. There's so much inefficiency right now everywhere within the government and private sector, like electricity, right? Our grids probably lose like 25-30% of the electricity which gets produced. AI can fix that immediately if we can, use the smart AI-based grid. So there's so many solutions right now available from companies like us, which governments can proactively adopt and make themselves more efficient. And in return, that allows us to grow, right? So I think for us, it's very financial.
Let me supplement to what Sridhar talks about the role of private sector. So we think that as I was probably attending the previous session. It says democratizing AI for public good. If you see the subtitle, so it's a public good, and the role of government should be very clear. How to ensure access to public good, AI as a public good. So if you happen to read the recent AI policy of government of Rajasthan, I think it was launched this week only, the AI and ML policy of government of Rajasthan, it very clearly specifies the role of private sector and I-STAT ecosystem, how it can be leveraged. So 3 applications that I talked about in traffic, in drainage system, and in the third sector. So can our startups help us bringing AI-based solutions, which Sridhar just now indicated? So we have a very clear roadmap for our startup friends. And there is a startup policy, I-STAT policy of government of Rajasthan. There is very clear financial packages or remuneration or incentives which are very well built into the system. So here is a urban planning story that I unfolded before you. And there is a thriving startup ecosystem in the country. Can we do a matchmaking?
Marry the two.
Yeah.
That's why they put you two together. On
So I leave that question to the audience to answer. Right, ma'am?
Very well said, sir. Thank you so much. I have one last question for you. Could you tell our audience what your doctorate is in? Your Dr. Prushti. Could you please share a little personal background? Thank you.
Oh, well, that's... I don't know whether you will find it interesting or relevant, but I thought I should pursue a little bit of academics while taking some break from my mundane routine work, and so I completed my PhD on climate change with a specific focus how the developing countries, citing India as a case study, sort of comply the rule-based environmental governance system, international rule-based system, while addressing the typical concern of a developing country like ours, capacity building, technology, and also finance, access to finance, to implement the climate smart solutions. So that is the overall essence of my study. But this is available in the Taylor and Francis publications. So if you Google, I published the research paper in the Journal of Climate and Development, UK-based journal. So the outcome of the study is available there. So it shows that it is quite possible that we can comply with the Paris rule book, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, the prescription of that, but then the developed countries will have to come forward to put forth money in the Green Climate Fund to help our projects financed, supported, to be able to undertake those climate smart solutions in a manner that conforms to the Paris rule book.
Fantastic. Round of applause for Dr. Prushti, the right man for the right job. There is one question we can take. Can we take? Yes, please.
Thank you.
Do you need the mic?
Yeah, I think all right. It's extremely informative, and all the models that you're utilizing, Rio was using it for the carnival, and now Oman is using it, South Korea is using it. It's very interesting that you're adopting it for Rajasthan. But I was seeking two things, maybe it's just my bias, that preventive physical and mental health for the citizens here, and how AI and your digital models can actually augment that, and I find that missing in all the conversations here, that we are building for capacity, we are building for finance, we are building for money, we are building for India rising, prominence, Viksit Bharat, but I'm not hearing anything about AQI, health, mental. People are going crazy, in this post-COVID age, everybody's stuck to their phones, their kids are committing suicide. How do you actually impact that on the governance level? So thank you, it was extremely informative, but I must ask that question.
No, that's very important because you talked about air quality index. So I am also responsible for the NCR regional planning because Alwar and Bharatpur, that part, including Bhiwadi, that fall under the NCR region. We have a NCR regional plan which is being discussed. The NCR planning board is there, being chaired by Honorable Prime Minister, and from Rajasthan, Honorable Chief Minister is a member of the NCR planning board. And very recently, since you asked this question, let me respond that the air quality monitoring chairperson visited Jaipur with sort of very clear, actionable agenda. Okay, what is the vehicular traffic? How much additional road network can government of Rajasthan build to divert the congestion in the NCR region? What are the effluent treatment plants or the solid waste management plants which can be built up to minimize municipal waste, which is polluting the groundwater? Sometimes, the open burning of the municipal waste contributes to the air. So we have using the digital twin, advised the Bhiwadi Municipal Corporation and also the 2-3 other municipalities, Khairthal, Tijara, to come soon, to use sensors when they collect garbage so that they can be tracked. Monitoring, that is first thing. Segregation. So biomedical waste, biodegradable waste, so they can be segregated. And then we want to invite the industry to prepare pellets because it has a calorific value. So waste to energy is very important for them. Construction and demolition waste, C&D waste, the debris, they can also be taken by the industry for reuse and recycling purposes. So that is one part of the story. So digital twin model will help industries decide which is the catchment area, which are producing certain minimum threshold of waste. Because if an industry has a economic value, say 100 tons of C&D waste it needs per day, but ultimately it's not coming up to that threshold, the digital twin model will tell, if you expand little additional area of operation, you will achieve that golden number of 100 metric ton per day collection. So we are using that. We're going to use that. We've already started sort of collecting the data for the NCR region. And industries are quite interested to take part in the bidding process, to take help of the Bhiwadi Development Authority's database. That is one part. About the mental health, although as an urban planner, I'm not competent, I'm not a doctor also, medical doctor, but I wish my colleague, Principal Secretary Medical Health, Gayatri ji, would have been here, so she would have been competent to respond to your question. But we have certain data in the health department. You know, when we register in any hospital, there is a unique health identity system, UHID, and that profiling of the disease and the patient, you know, they are all there. But I don't know if AI is being used by the medical health department, so I cannot comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I mean, yes, loneliness is a huge epidemic right now globally as well as in India. Social media is a part to play in that, but at the end of the day, how much do we want the government in our living room, right? You know, do we want them to control what we do and, you know, what we consume and all that, right? It's already enough, I believe personally. So, yes, government does need to play a role in terms of awareness, because yes, maybe not everybody is as educated to, you know, put the limits they need to put on their kids and all that. But do we want them to regulate us on what to do, right? That's where it's tricky, and you know, once they come in, they're not going to leave. So, so.
Thank you for that perspective, Sridhar. Yes, please, sir.
Well, in my previous assignment, I was in charge of the Rajasthan government health scheme. So suddenly I was thinking your question, you know, because so we have a very clear database. Which pharmacist is selling how much medicine daily, at what cost? That database is already there in 2 dimensions.
And what medicine also, right?
What medicine, what salt, what composition. And we know that in a particular district, if certain medicines of certain composition are being consumed, which are little outliers in my database, disproportionate, it raises a suspicion. Okay, it could be a drug which is being misused by a certain community. It could be Hanumangarh, it could be Ganganagar, it could be any district of Rajasthan or any district of India. So immediately, using this AI platform, I would advise the drug inspector to go and check the prescriptions. I would invoke a prescription audit if I were the health secretary, to understand the pattern of consumption of those drugs, the impact on the customer, because it is impacting their mental health ultimately, which is a menace to the society. So here the role of AI is very clear. And we are doing that in the RGHS database. We have detected a fraud that certain pharmaceutical industries are hand in gloves, and they are raising sort of, false claims, taking advantage of certain systems. So they have been severely penalized. So this we did in my previous chapter. I thought I'll just share with you, just for your understanding.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bose, for sharing that. And I do think that, India is taking a lot of responsibility across industries, across segments. And one of the things that I must compliment you, sir, particularly, and then of course the government, for bringing people of this caliber into these roles so that we can really look at this holistically, right? We're not just approaching it, very singularly or in silos. We're trying to do this holistically, understanding India's cultural needs, India's emotional needs, and India's economic needs. So I think, thank you so much for sharing with so much patience and with so much grace. I really appreciate that. And I know our audience. The question was a little bit outside of this panel's discussion or topic, but I know that there are very capable people to manage that as well. And I'm sure he will get his answer in another panel. But I think today, specifically on the topic, I just want to once again compliment both of you for your contributions. And I look forward to, and I'm a very patient person, and I'm a huge India fan, and I want to come back and live here, just the way I used to live when I was growing up. And I know India is going to be that way very soon. And I'm willing to be patient, even if it takes another 5 years. I'm going to be around for at least that much to see the progress that this country deserves with such capable people in leadership roles. So thank you so much. Thank you, Sridhar, and thank you, Dr. Purst.
I think a big round of applause to Madam Desai for an excellent anchoring, moderating, and steering the session. Thank you very much.
Nothing to deserve this.